Crawled in bed with who I thought was my wife. Part 1. I'm a 26-year-old man and have been married to Lucy, 25, for 3 years. We have no kids and are not planning on any. Here's what happened. I have a job that requires me to travel about one weekend every 4 to 6 weeks. I leave on Friday morning and come back very early Monday morning around 2 a.m. Lucy is almost always asleep, so I just crawl into bed with her, and we wake up together on Monday morning. I have 2 days off after the work trip. Those 2 days. This time, we finished the work early, and I came back a day earlier. Most of the time I'm traveling, I'm in a no-cell reception zone, so I couldn't communicate that I would be back home earlier. No problem. This has happened before. I came in at 2 a.m. on Sunday, crawled into bed, and hugged my wife, feeling that she was naked. Being the man that I am, of course I grabbed her boobs. She is my wife, after all. I heard her moan a little, and then I heard Lucy say, "Just stay put, sweetheart. I'll be right back." I watched Lucy get up and stand there, completely exposed. I couldn't help but... The moment I said that, Lucy turned around as if she'd been stung by a bee and stared at me in shock. It took me a few seconds to comprehend. If Lucy is standing in front of the bed, who am I holding? I quickly sat up and looked at the naked person I was holding, who was still sleeping in my arms, with my hand on her chest. It was Amy, 24, Lucy's best friend. I just shouted, "What the hell is going on here?" This woke Amy up, and she jumped up and ran to Lucy. They both ran to the bathroom. I could hear them talking in panic but couldn't make out what they were saying. I went to the living room. I was exhausted from work. I hadn't slept for close to 24 hours, and I had to comprehend what just happened. I sat on my recliner with my face buried in my hands. After a few minutes, I felt her hand on my shoulder. I looked up and saw Lucy crying. This confirmed to me that I was not mistaken. I am grateful they did not try to gaslight me. With my lack of sleep and exhaustion, they could have easily fooled me into thinking it was something innocent. Both Lucy and Amy were now dressed. Amy was standing behind the sofa, and Lucy was kneeling beside me. Looking back, Lucy's whole body language was that of concern and caring, not defensive and ready to flee. I was honestly too tired to be angry, so I calmly asked, "How long?" Lucy replied, "A couple of months." "During my work trips?" I asked. Lucy nodded. "Yes." "Has there been anyone else?" I asked. Lucy shook her head. "No. I'm going to bed. I'm exhausted. We'll talk about this tomorrow." "Amy, I don't want you here tomorrow," I said. I went to bed and fell asleep almost immediately. The next morning, Lucy was at the breakfast table waiting for me. I have no idea where she slept, or if she slept at all. As per my wish, Amy was not here. I made a cup of coffee, sat down and said, "All right, you need to explain everything. After that, I want to hear why I shouldn't divorce you. And finally, what you're planning to do to fix this. Something you should know about me. I have a calm anger. I don't shout, but my voice does change and sounds harsher, more stern. That is the only way I can explain it." Lucy started by telling me she's bisexual and that she and Amy had been having an emotional affair for a while. It only turned physical during one of my work trips at the beginning of the year, when they had a movie night and a lot of wine. She said it wasn't planned. It just happened. That's when I interrupted. I had suspected her orientation since college, but it wasn't my place to bring it up, but wanted to know why she never told me. So early in our friendship, before we even had a relationship, a friend made a joke about bisexuals being good for threesomes, but not for relationships. And I laughed. This has never been my thought process, but at the time I thought the joke was funny. I had no idea the effect it had on the way Lucy saw me. I told her it just happened might fly the first time, but every time after that was definitely planned. "Why should I not divorce you, my unfaithful wife?" She began to tell me how much she loved me, how it was a mistake, how she could only see a future with me, how happy I made her, and on and on. I cut her off. You need to try harder. I'm hearing plenty of reasons that benefit you, but I'm not hearing a single reason for me to stay in this marriage. I'm the one who was betrayed, and I'm not hearing why I should stay. Then I asked, what are you planning to do to make this right? My trust in you is gone. I can't go on a work trip without worrying about what you're doing. You say there hasn't been anyone else. How am I supposed to trust that's true? So tell me, how are you going to rebuild the trust you've destroyed? She listed a bunch of things, giving me access to all her devices, sharing her location through her smartwatch, installing cameras in the house, having friends drop by unexpectedly when I'm on a trip. She even suggested joining me on my work trips and staying in the hotel the whole weekend. So, what you're suggesting is turning our home into a prison, with me as the warden. Tell me, do you think the warden trusts his inmates? Don't you think he knows that the moment he turns his back, or lets up, they'll go right back to their old ways? I've heard enough for today. I'll give you another chance in a few days to answer my last 2 questions. For now, I think it is best to give me some space, I said. She got up and started walking to the bedroom, and then I added, You've offered all these promises to make things right, but you haven't mentioned cutting ties with Amy. Let me be clear. I haven't decided whether I want a divorce yet, but if you stay at Amy's these next few days, the divorce is a sure thing. There will be no coming back from that. She left, and I broke down crying. I'm not cold or heartless. That's just a defense mechanism. I was a mess all of Sunday and Monday. I took the rest of the week off. By Thursday, I cleaned the house and the garden and sent her a text saying she could come over on Saturday to talk. If she didn't come or didn't reschedule, I would assume she had given up on us. She arrived at our home at around 8:30 in the morning, which is very early for her. I let her in. She sat on the sofa, and I made her a cup of coffee. Where did you stay this week? I asked. At my sister's, she replied. What did you tell her? Only that we are having some trouble and you need some space. Did you see Amy? No, not even a text, she said, taking out her phone to offer it to me, but I declined. I told you I'm not going to play the role of warden, I said. So, do you trust me? She asked. No, I replied. Then how will you ever trust me again if you won't even check my phone? I'm not the one who needs to do anything to regain trust. I wasn't the one who broke it. You're the one who has to do the work, I said. But how? She asked. I don't know. You spent time and energy sneaking around behind my back. Use that same energy to figure out how to rebuild the trust. This is your mess, so if you want to fix it, you have to do the work. I don't have to do anything, I said. You could meet me halfway, she suggested. I already am. I'm giving you a chance to make things right, I replied. The issue wasn't with Amy. If she had told me after the first time when it just happened, we could have worked it out. The problem was the betrayal of my trust. The problem was doing everything behind my back, keeping it a secret from me, her husband. I told her I'm giving her 3 months to regain my trust. If after 3 months I still can't trust her, I'll file for divorce. I know, 3 months is a long time, but I want to give her a real chance. Because the truth is, I still love her. But if after 3 months there is no trust, I will file for divorce. I'll give her one courtesy. She can come up with a reason for our divorce that doesn't have to be the truth. I don't want to ruin her reputation with friends and family. But if the news story puts me in a bad light, I'll tell everyone the real story.